Alicia Ness is absent with prior notice. Adam Royds,
Here.
Sonny Kreitz. Steve Langley,
Here.
John Wallace. Kelly Kabilski,
Here.
Carol Noker. Erica Winston,
Here.
and then Dan Hartman.
I'm here.
We do have a quorum.
Yes.
Just look at the minutes for August 23rd, 2023. Any comments, changes? Entertain a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move to reports here. Erica, Chamber of Commerce report.
Hey, barbecue bash, it rained for about the first half of the event, but other than that, everybody had a really great time and it turned out really well. End of the day, it was nice and sunny and all that, so, our next ribbon cutting is gonna be October 7th for T-Mobile. And then we have another one for October 13th for the Farrell Agency at 5 p.m. The next Rise and Shine is October 4th. That's at 169 Cafe, and it is sponsored by 169 Cafe. The luncheon is October 11th, sponsored by Kramer Capital. And I think that's all I've got for now.
Erica, quick question. How was the sponsorship this year? Were you some sponsors the same, up, down for the barbecue bash?
It was a little down. Yeah, but not by a whole lot, so.
Did you announce the barbecue winners that night? Will you publish them at all in the next newsletter or
I'm working on a video.
video?
Yeah.
All right, not just not just a list.
So they seemed to like the video last year, so I thought I'd do
Okay.
it again.
I judged the pulled pork and it was, there were some really interesting creations with pulled pork that I wasn't expecting.
They looked like they were getting pretty creative, so.
They were creative. Yeah, I'd mention one, but I might give away the winner, but I won't say anything. Good, thank you. No school district report tonight unless Carol comes in and then we'll go back to her. Chairwoman is not here and so the chairman doesn't have a report. Staff report.
All right, in front of you, you will find the quarterly dashboard. As you can see, our sales tax and use tax are performing well. Use tax had a little bit of a lag with some of the businesses reporting. So now we are up and not as worried as we were in the last report. Special events, we have 17 scheduled for the year. Business licenses, we have 715. I know, Adam, you made a comment last time when we did the quarterly reports about starting to put them in categories. So right now we don't have that feature with our financial software, but we're doing a big migration. So when that comes, I'll be talking to them to see if we can add that because that is a lot more user-friendly and web-based. So it'll put us more into this era for data reporting. And then we're looking at improvements in our permits for residential and commercial. Having a lot of projects completed in this last quarter. And we'll expect to see a lot more development in the next quarterly update.
Do we have certificate of occupancies? Because the permits are permission to build, right? But
Yes.
the COAs
So the
are ready to be
completed-
moved in.
Yes, so the completed projects are the ones that people are ready to go into.
Okay. So they're completed, but they don't necessarily have someone living there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And then in a minute, I will be showing some replica data based on our conversations from the last meeting. And I did want to let all of you know, the comprehensive plan dashboard is on the website. So if you want any updates about what we've been working on since implementation, it is on the website. And
I have a question about
Yes.
I downloaded it already.
Yeah,
So it is an Excel spreadsheet, correct?
correct.
So my assumption is that it's just a snapshot.
correct? Like it's not replicating on its own once someone downloads the spreadsheet. If you want, like if I download in October, that's October's data. But if I come back in November, I just have to download it
Yes.
again.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, because it's not web-based, so it's not updated.
Right, so it's not updating automatically, and something we'll probably add is an updated date. So
Yeah.
say you checked in October and then you went back in January, if it has a new date, then you'll know to
Then you know to
download it.
download it again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right.
Gina, I meant to look for it and I'm looking for it now. Is it under, you said City of Smithville, is it, oh, there you go.
Yes.
He's ahead of
Oh, all right. Oh. Sorry, my mic turned on, so that was a little weird. Okay. All right, so if you go to government and then I should have pulled this up before. So you search comprehensive plan. And we'll probably make a banner so it's more easily accessible at the top. That's the one thing about our website is sometimes it's not the easiest to find things. Did you see it? Did I miss it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, that'll be something we add to the website. So here it is. We'll get that linked better up here for people to find, but this page, so it's get to know us, then the comprehensive plan. And this is kind of just more of an introduction about what the dashboard is about, and kind of sheds the light on why the comprehensive plan was created. And then it walks everyone through instructions about the different pillars. So you're able to sort all of this information by pillars, priority, the time frame, and the status. So if say you want to see what's been completed or what hasn't been started, you're able to filter it that way. And then you can also look at the stakeholders, and the EDC is mentioned multiple times in this. And then you'll be able to download it here, and you'll have to just enable macros. So something we'll add is date that it was last updated. And then make it a little bit more easily findable on the home page. And something else I wanted to touch upon was we have the board approved going to the voters for public safety sales tax. So there is a page on the website under resources and ballot information. And it's also a banner on our front page. So this will take you to a page on our website giving you more information about the public safety sales tax. It's an educational tool for people to know what would be in the ballot for the November 7th special election. Has the fast facts. The plan, if it gets approved by the voters, would be the addition of 2 police officers, 1 full-time animal control officer, vehicle leasing costs associated with the police department, and then equipment upgrades. So this sales tax can only be used for public safety purposes. It can't be commingled with any other kind of budget. So this just has an FAQ at the bottom about what our sales tax is and the different levels of where it goes. And then organizations can also fill out a form for a presentation if they need any more clarification at one of their community meetings. All right. And then the last thing before I go into replica is based on availability, our October and November meetings have been canceled unless we want to move dates. The November date is the day before Thanksgiving. And I will be at a conference for the October 25th. So if you guys have pending items you would want to discuss in October and November, we can definitely reschedule those EDC meetings.
Does it have to be in person or could we do it online?
We could do it through Zoom.
Okay. All right.
We would just have to advertise it that way.
Yeah, I had a question about, a couple
Yeah.
just detailed questions about this. So 715 business licenses is higher than I would have thought it to be.
Mhm.
Anybody have a feel for how that compares to other similar size cities? Does that include people working out of their homes as well, or?
That's why I think they're gonna do the categories, because it'll give us an idea of like how many of these are someone who's doing Amazon reshipping versus a doctor or a dentist.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. And then the permits issued completed for 31, from May to August of this year was 31.
Mhm.
So anybody have a memory pre-COVID, how 31 compares to summer of 2018 or 19? Is that up, down?
I don't have that on me, but that's something I can bring back and send out.
I was kind of quizzing our two
Okay.
real estate people just to see if they had a feel for it. That's higher, that's a number that's higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, Vice Chairman, last year, I believe was 55. Excuse me. So, yeah, it's hard to say if we're up or down this time of year. I guess we've got one. Well, city budget wise, we've got just a couple months left, but the year we have a quarter left.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, given pricing and high interest rates, that 31's a pretty high number.
that's why I was interested in the actual certificate of occupancy, because we could have a lot of homes that are built and ready to go, but if they're not being occupied, then that would give us a sense on whether or not interest rates are actually affecting our community in terms of buyers.
Yeah, I don't know how many spec homes are there being built versus you build them and you move in the next week because you got a loan you're gonna be paying on. Are there spec homes being built here? Just complete straight up spec homes or?
yes, the off of Mendozola Lane, I forget that name of that subdivision, but I believe they're building spec homes there.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
I know Rollins is pretty much built out. Harbor Lake is pretty much built out. So I believe that's the only one right now that I'm aware of.
I'm just curious. Okay,
I know I'm blanking on it right now, but I can send that out.
I'm just curious.
Any other questions on the dashboard or at the end of the year, I'll be able to maybe go a little bit deeper into the, further back and show more of a year comparison instead of the quarter.
Yeah, I think if we reached back into 18 or 19, we'd have a better comparison, except given the high interest rate environment we have today.
Okay.
Because what are home loans now, 7 or 7.25 in that range?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Was there any feedback on the meetings? Did we want to try to reschedule the October, November EDC meeting?
So that October 25th, are you gone all that week?
I am gone part of the week. I'm gone Wednesday through Friday.
Okay. We haven't gotten to new business, so I don't know if there's anything pending. we need
Okay.
to-
Yeah, we can bring it back up.
Yeah,
at
let's
the end.
do that just to see what might surface. I don't know that there's gonna be anything. If anybody else has a feel if we should pick another date to accommodate the schedule, or if we just pass, because if we pass on October, then it's November, and then we talked about December could be an issue with
Yeah, it might be good to just get October in, because that might be the last meeting before we head into the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with changing. I'm pretty available during the week. I just have, soccer and whatnot, but my wife can always take kids to soccer, so I can be flexible.
Okay. All right, and then I was gonna show you, I had a replica training. So I was gonna show you some information that I went over. So replica is basically a data mining kind of software where wherever you go with your cell phone, it's tracking you. So we get the aggregate data. We don't get anyone's personal information. It's just very high level view. So for Smithville, a lot of the discussions we've been talking about are trips. So we can see where people are coming to Smithville from. So the majority of the trips on a typical Thursday in the spring, so that's like just a normal weekday, we have over 20,000, close to 21,000. The majority of those are Smithville residents coming back to Smithville, but we also have visitors from Kansas City, Liberty, and so on. And then we can also look at the time that the trips are happening. So you can look at the majority of them are happening between 3 to 4 p.m. And then in the morning, that 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. peak, people going to work, and then also people returning home. And you can see the primary mode of traffic. So most people are traveling by a vehicle or they're a passenger. We do have a good percentage of people who walk in the community. And then you can also dive down into the trip's purpose. So the majority of people on a typical weekday are returning to Smithville to go home. And then we have about 8% who are shopping, 7.71 going to school, social activities, and then eat. That has been brought up about restaurants. About 3.5% of trips on a typical weekday are just for eating. And then work, we talk about how we're primarily a residential community. You can see that 4.06 trips to Smithville are for work.
4.06.
Yes. And then we can also change this to look at a typical weekend day. So a typical Saturday in the spring takes a little bit to reset. But you can see how eat went up a little bit on the scale. And then shopping went up to 11.7%. Work went down to 1.69. And then what's also nice about this software is it defines each of these categories. So I can press this little info button, and then it'll define what home includes, what work, shop. It does include grocery stores, and then what recreation includes. So it does define what it is capturing. So that is a nice feature. So this gives us a really big overall picture. And what we talked about was the events. So I'm using Main Street Wine Walk in May as an event. So we can look at spend by merchant location. So looking at the city of Smithville, and I can look at it over a period of time for weekend specific data. And then that event occurred on May 6th. So I can see that actually there was a dip in spending, which is an interesting story. But after talking to Replica, they are capturing the retail spend for regular businesses, not pop-up events. So I did recommend that maybe they could add that feature for a special event. So this is telling us a story that, you know, there's not a lot of retail spending based on this event. It actually dipped down a little bit. But if I go to the trips taken to Smithville during that week, I can see that it actually went up because the week before it was about 500 less. And then the next week it was around the same, but then you can see that it dips down again. So you can see the impact of at least the trips to Smithville. So I plan to use this data a little bit more to share a story on our website. But I did want to showcase this to you guys as we have our conversations going forward with the comprehensive plan discussion, that we do have access to this type of data. So any questions on this? I know it's,
So does it capture like related traffic if they do not stop to get gas or food or anything?
so it doesn't do the trips through Smith. I can look at like the overall traffic counts on roads, but it won't, it'll capture it if they're stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what I
because it's
thought.
based off the spend data. And then you can also, I think it was on this one. You can see the distance. So I know we've talked about a lot of, how comfortable people are traveling for things. You can see that it really is a wide mix of 16 to 32 miles on a typical Saturday. We do have some, it is a low percentage of 32 to 64. But you are able to see that kind of difference in what the average is. So that might be kind of more of our radius that we tell people. The average trip people take to Smithville is around 10 miles. And then it's just nice that you can kind of drill down a little bit, even to the minute length, 20 to 40 minutes. And then you can even go to people and look at more of the demographic story of people's income level that they're coming to Smithville for, race and ethnicity, and then where people typically work, and then the age population. So that might help, target your audience on communication for events. If you're looking at an older population, you might want to also have flyers sent to people's addresses versus just online. And then employment status, auto availability, if individuals work from home. And then if people are residents of the core region. So it has a lot of information.
Wow.
That's very neat.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so if there is certain things that say, oh, I want to really drill down in this area and I want Replica to help us tell the story, I would be able to have training sessions with our Replica customer care person, and they really are very helpful in kind of helping me build whatever type of analysis we'd like to see.
So we could almost put a stat sheet together to help promote Smithville based
Mhm.
on.
Yes, and then they update it with this kind of data per season. So this was the spring, and then in a few months, we'll get the summer data. So then you can start to see how it looks throughout the year. And then the specific data for like the events and this merchant that normally has like a 2-week lag, but that's pretty updated.
I had the opportunity to sit in on as a guest in another city's that's comparable size ADC meeting. And I didn't know the name of the package here, but I just sat and listened and I said, hey, there's some data out there available. And just my impression after being on EDC here 2 years and that group, we're way ahead as far as the people we have on the EDC and the thing kind of businesses we're talking about and tapping into this kind of software. That's kudos to the city to make a commitment to have this available. Well, we just need to do something with it.
I looked up the name of that neighborhood. It's Diamond Creek.
Okay. Yes. All right, and that's all I have. If you guys have
Okay.
any questions, just let me know.
Thank
Mhm.
Yep, thank you. Yep. Let's move to discussion items. We're gonna get to Main Street with Adam here, but let's talk about discussion of community arts. Next
Hi.
steps.
You're fine.
Should we, are you prepared to do a school report?
I can't. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
6:30 all day and looked at
No.
my calendar 5 minutes ago.
We were just getting to discussion items. We just finished the report, so if you'd like to
Sure.
do a, we are glad you're here.
Thank you. And again, my apologies. So for district, I actually did not get a chance to check in with Dr. Moss, so I will give a quick real world learning update, at least from my perspective. I mean, we're a month into school and it feels like we've been there 6 months, so. We had our high school career fair on Friday. Huge success. I just overjoyed with how well it went. We had over 50 industry partners there, over 50 tables, I should say, more than 50 industry partners. We had, Gina and the city group brought, I don't know how many, so many different departments and representatives, and a few others that did the same, brought several with them. And each of our high schoolers got to come through and visit with different career representatives. So just giving them kind of a chance to explore different opportunities and learn in an environment that's comfortable for them about other careers and what they think they might want to do. So I'm coming down off of that. That was a lot of work to get ready at the very beginning of school. Upcoming, we have typically would do the Green Tie Affair in December. That's with our intro to business students. We've shifted that to second semester, so we'll be doing mock interviews this first semester with that group. And we've added a couple other classes. So we'll have about 160 students that'll do mock interviews. And that will be the very last week of October, first week of November. I think it's the 30th through the 2nd. So look for some information coming out about that. We'll need industry partners to come in and just sit for interviews for that. And then we'll do a middle school career day also this semester. So continuing to just bring individuals into the classroom, all grade levels really, and just let kids understand kind of how their classwork relates to real world and so forth, and develop the program.
Yeah, we were talking about school day before you got here, Carol, and it was somebody as a small business. It was just great to rub shoulders with that many. It's just a broad section of a high school.
Yeah.
You know, now 9th through 12th. They were all at different levels of articulate, but they were all able to communicate and communicate well. And I've been around a couple other high school student populations, and Bubba kept saying, part of it is he was being a cheerleader. This is the best high school group in the state. And from what I've seen, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't remember, were you in the lunch afterwards? Were you able to
Yes.
stay?
Yeah.
And there were several many that do this on a regular basis. That's kind of their job, community outreach and development, and workforce development. And those that have been doing this for some time were very complimentary of our students, especially. And we've always known it. I think we forget because we're somewhat insulated. And so it's really a nice reminder
Yep.
that we do have such a really, our community is awesome, obviously,
Yeah.
and our kids are awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for all that participated. It was great.
And you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, discussion items, discussion of community art program, next steps. Adam, do you have anything to share there?
I think I do. If we want to partner with Main Street, I don't have anything obviously formal. I could probably put something together. But the way I was thinking would be that this committee would be the decision makers. So anything that, where's it going to go? How much money are we going to spend? Who's the artist going to be? What type of art do we want? This would be the forum for that. So we could have public comment and people could let us know, what type of art they would like to see. And then I think Main Street would be good as the project manager. And when I say Main Street, I'm going to transition to the Main Street update. I'm talking me. So I've already talked to Main Street about it. Once I explain, I'm gonna have more time on my hands in regards to Main Street that, I'm sure there'd be, probably Alicia would probably help too. But we would be able to do like the spreadsheets, the project management and get down and then provide the reports to the EDC. And then if something came up, hey, you know what, we thought the budget was gonna be 5,500, but now we're being told that paint has increased and we wanna, bump it up to 62. We bring it back to the EDC in the quorum and then we vote. So I think that would be like a good mix. I mean, how does everyone feel about that type of framework? Does anyone?
I think it's smart.
Okay. All right, and then I'll bring, the next time we do have a meeting, I'll bring like a mock project management spreadsheet. And that would kind of, I don't quite know all the steps, but I could put something together that would show how the report out would go with the project management section with, major sections, subsections underneath, whether something can be done concurrently or whether things have to be done serially, right? You need to get A done before we get B, but at the same time, this thing over here, we can actually run concurrently, stuff like that. So that's where my head was at.
From a timing standpoint, we're probably talking next spring, summer to be able to
Depends.
execute.
When do those
So,
budgets need to be?
Yeah,
in?
budget starts November 1, so it really just depends on the funding, on if we're doing a grant application or if we would do a volunteer for artists. And then this is also something that we should probably bring to the Board of Aldermen at their meeting of like an update. Hey, the EDC has been working on a community art program. We wanted your feedback. So that might be a good timeline with the mock, kind of how it would go.
Yep.
And then
And-
get their feedback and then.
And we may not
suggestions
need
from
any,
there.
we may not need any money,
Right.
We could always, maybe private donations or grants.
Mhm.
So that part, I'm not quite sure about, but we definitely would want to vote. Before we can do anything, we need to pick a location. So I would say within the next couple meetings, we would want to actually have a formal, we don't do a lot of them, right? Like I've been here almost like over a year and a half now, and we don't take a lot of like votes. And this would be something that we would need to vote on and have a discussion about like, where do we think in the downtown area would be the best location?
Mhm.
And then I think once we decide on a site, then we can start to move forward and get all that other stuff and then brief city council.
Would it be a site or possibly sites?
I think we should, I'm a crawl, walk, run. This is a first kind of public art project that we're taking on, so I think we would probably be best to just do one. And then depending on how it goes, then maybe we could do two at once or something like that.
The only reason I asked that, if it takes some momentum to get one going, would it be better to have more than one teed up?
Possibly.
So to keep that momentum going, in other words, do a timing, we do a phase 1, 2, and 3.
We could, I mean, that's something we'd probably want to hash out.
That's
Yeah.
a great idea, Steve. And
Yeah,
and like
put
you
something
said,
pipeline.
because then, you want to keep the
Yeah.
momentum going. If there's a timeline, if we've got that prepared ahead of time, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we could plan for future projects during the current project. I don't think it would be a good idea to take on more than one
I don't either.
at one time, but planning for future ones, I think is a good idea.
Agreed.
And then while we're at it, I might as well just give an update on Main Street. So we lost our executive director. Alyssa Sanders she had an opportunity she couldn't pass up. One of the requirements to be accredited through the state Main Street program is you have to have a full-time paid staffer. Our big issue with Main Street is we don't have any money. So we had to take a look at what are we spending our money on, and we were spending over $10,000 just on training. So, and you have to go to those trainings. You have to send like 1 or 2 people to a certain amount of trainings a year, and it was costing about 10 grand. So right now, we are not going to be looking for a new executive director. We're going to rely on the volunteers like myself. And we're not quite sure if everyone's going to stay on. So we gave kind of everybody a month to decide. I'm staying on for at least another year. So I got another year in me. Whether or not the other chairs or board members are going to, we're not sure. We'll discuss that at our next meeting. The big thing is we're going to have to reevaluate how we do all of our projects now, because we don't really have enough people to kind of silo. I was supposed to be chair economic vitality. Well, I'm going to have to start helping out with Wine Walk. right? So we also lost Kara. So we lost our executive director and we lost our promotions chair because she also had another opportunity and she's young. She's got to go make that money. Yeah. So the rest of us are now going to have to be more involved in the events. But the good news is we're not going to be reporting macroeconomic data anymore. So a lot of that data collection that was at least taking up a lot of my time, which I'm not necessarily sad about, to be honest. I would rather focus on a more micro scale, like a public art project or looking for grants for awnings, for inclement weather. Macroeconomic data can be good, but it really wasn't helping us. And it was just taking up a lot of time having to fill out, quarterly reports and then our end of the year self-assessment. If y'all saw that, it's like a 27-page, form we were supposed to fill out and then send to the state. So we're probably gonna not be associated with officially with Main Street. But we still have all the information we got from them. We'll still probably use the 4 pillars. But in the sense that we're gonna be trying to move up the accreditation ladder at this point, we're putting a pause on that.
So can you still be an affiliate and take
No.
advantage of the resources at all without a full-time?
No, we can pay. You can do a pay as you go. So if we want to go to a particular training, like the way it would work now is they have these trainings and you have to go to them. And even though some of those trainings weren't helpful, but we'd still have to go. So now we can pay a la carte if we want.
Sure.
So, but in terms of like them providing us resources, no. They only do that if you're through the state. And you can't be accredited without a full-time.
Right, but I thought there was an affiliate level.
Well,
tier
that's what we are now.
Right,
We're not accredited, we're affiliate, and there's an associate level too.
right,
So we're gonna lose our current status
as an affiliate.
as an affiliate, and we may get dropped down. We could probably go down to the lower level, but it's still not worth it based off the cost benefit analysis.
Is there an annual cost associated with it, aside from that training and so forth, to just be?
No, like
Access the resources?
you'd pay a la carte. So like if you wanted to go to like a certain training, you could pay just
Sure.
to go to that training. But there's no other, like once we disassociate, we just won't have to.
Okay, I guess I didn't understand that. At least my understanding from initially was that that was another choice then to get to that next level was to hire on a full-time, but we,
Yeah.
We bought into this whole entire kind of network.
Yep.
And so to be a part of that network, but not have to move up to that next level, that's disappointing.
That's
You're
when
not
we-
able to access at least that minimum
Yeah.
level of resources and be part of that network.
Well, that's what we discussed. We had a full day. I want to call it an all hands. We called it a retreat. At work, we call it an all hands, it's pilots, whatnot. And that was one of the things we discussed is, do the benefits outweigh the cost? And what were we getting for being in the association? It just wasn't as beneficial as, they told us it would be. So we've decided we're going to rebrand. And we're just gonna, we'll still associate. It's not like we're gonna have bad blood with them or anything. But in terms of being associated with the state level Main Street, we've chosen that we're not gonna do that. And it's pretty common, actually. So if you actually look around the state, there's lots of groups that are nonprofits that help with like downtowns and main streets, but they're not necessarily a part of the state-run organization. So. And me personally, I thought it was very bureaucratic. So when I came on, I had no idea the actual bureaucratic requirements. And when we got that first self-assessment, I was like, what is this? I was like, this is work.
Well,
They were asking for a lot of data mining. Even Kelly's out here asking around about quality jobs. And, at the end of the day, I don't mind providing data, but how does it help us? Right? I understand the state wants their data, but we're not employees of the state. So I don't think it's fair to ask volunteers in local communities that are trying to benefit their local community to spend time and resources and labor hours to get the state data. If the state wants that data, they can hire volunteers to come out and ask businesses whether they have quality jobs,
and it's not as if they were supporting you financially, right?
No, there's no financial benefit.
Right, I understand
Yeah.
that piece. It's sad. I know that it was a huge help getting the organization off its feet and away from just being a disorganized volunteer group, right? So there was a huge benefit initially, at least from my perspective. So it's sad.
Well, I mean, we're gonna keep the framework and it's not like we're gonna unlearn the things that they've
Right,
taught us, you know, so we still have all the PowerPoints and all the presentations and all the core, but what we were noticing was it was starting to get repetitive.
Oh, I know.
You know, so like every time you go to a new one, it's the same info that they're passing on. And so we're just like, we're spending a lot of money that we don't have. Now, we could always change our mind if we can get our, you know, our fundraising and our revenue streams up to the point where we can, you know, afford a full-time executive director again and have enough money to do all the other things we'd like to do. So it's not like we're just saying no, it's just for now, we're going to take a break and see if we can do our own thing and see what happens. So. So are there any other questions about where Main Street's at? So we're still going to be there, you know, still doing, those of us that are volunteering are still going to be there. We're just not under that umbrella with all those requirements.
Thanks, Adam. Updates on comprehensive plan priorities. I'm not really sure what to do with that one tonight. Did Gina, any guidance on what we're supposed to discuss there?
So it's just if you had any updates, like last time, John had to reach out to Chipotle, so that would just be an opportunity to
Okay,
give any updates. But it's more of just a placeholder, so if there's no updates, we can skip that.
probably the only update is you and I, Gina and I and Cynthia. Yeah, it was just the three of us. wasn't
And
it? Or
Alicia.
Alicia, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Because we had the table set up, it was men versus the women and the way that we sat down at the table. We met with Darren Bass, who's president of St. Luke's North, which Berry Road and in at least this facility falls under his responsibility, and Matt, and I cannot think of Matt's last name. Matt's kind of their property real estate guy. So it was a follow-up to a discussion we had about is there space in the hospital to use for other purposes other than for the hospital? And the answer seemed to be maybe. I didn't realize that there was a fitness center,
Used to be.
yeah, at one time, and it's got a separate entrance.
Yes.
We did not have access to it that day. But it seemed like that maybe had some possibilities. I know Matt had told me before when I talked to him some months ago, the other two empty spaces, I think Darren kind of said that there's a wing up on the third floor, but they have some other sensitive medical care opportunities, you know, going on up there. And then there's the emergency room. And Matt had said, and I don't remember if they addressed it in any detail, Gina, but I know Matt had said there's some medical infrastructure built into the ER that they would be reluctant to take out.
Mhm.
Now, they did not say that they were going to reopen ER, you know, so don't misread anything. But they just, you know, kind of hedging their bets as to what that might look like. So I think Darren had to go back to some of his other executives or a board to determine if that facility where the fitness center was might be something that could be leased and repurposed. We don't know how much work would take. We don't know what kind of shape it's in. If they've got a bunch of stuff in there, because we just don't know. So I think we just take it one step at a time.
And I imagine that they would want something that is like health wellness related. I think that would help. Like if, you know, someone wants to open a vape store, they're probably not gonna
No, I think
want
that-
that at the hospital, but you
No,
know.
we did it under the context of office space.
oh, office space.
And even, I think Carol had said at one of our meetings, you know, trying to do an iWorks type multi-person, not that it'd be associated with iWorks, but it could be that concept.
Co-working space.
Co-working space, thank you. I couldn't think of the name of it.
And we have a lot of medical professionals too. I mean, there's the wellness, you know, building down here that has a whole bunch of like mental health and counseling, like those would be it would seem to be a good fit in
Right.
a better fit in that setting
Yeah.
than where
Good with that.
retail would probably
Totally
benefit
agree.
better. But yeah, so that's good. And he said
Where's-
maybe, so that's
Where's that
great.
built? Where's that, where are they located at?
They're right here,
Yeah, on
like
Bridge
right
Street.
next to Countrywide Financial.
Okay.
Right across from the bike shop.
I didn't realize that.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So anything else to add to that, Gina?
I'm not sure if you mentioned they are in the middle of their long range plans. So they're taking a look at all of their facilities and what could potentially, be used. What's the best use? What's the clientele? Hospital, at the end of the day, they're looking at the numbers just like anyone else. So they're gonna try to determine the best use for Smithville location. And it sounded like they were open to that facility since it was a little bit more separated from patients. So I'm hopeful that we'll get something good out of it.
And can I tie this back to the data that you asked before? When we talk about 715 active business licenses, if we can find out like who in our community is like, chiropractors, dentists, mental health counselors, then you could take that back to them and be like, we already have people who could move in tomorrow. And I think that they would probably would want a space where they're all there versus like, oh, one is here and then one's across town and like in a random location.
Mm.
So I think if we could get those business license categories, that would help with that
Yeah.
sell.
Does Chamber still rent out a couple offices? And you have a conference room?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
One thing I would like to mention about this weekend, we actually used the Cornwall for the whiskey because of the weather. And that place is nice. So everyone was like, when are you opening? And allegedly it's supposed to be like October, like the first week of October, but I guess there's been a couple of those. But that place is gonna be a draw. So when we saw the restaurant numbers, I think a business like that is really gonna help bring people down here for entertainment and drinking and for bites to eat. But it's a real nice space. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, and you all probably knew this and I didn't. I parked on this end of downtown and I walked by and there was a couple working on a white building doing painting and I think she said that's gonna be a brew pub. Did I understand that right?
Mhm.
She didn't quite have a opening date projected. I think they're in the midst of up to their eyeballs trying to get it open, so.
And there is a new boutique. There's no sign up yet. But we did have a new boutique opened where a photography studio was.
I've already spent money in there.
Yeah. And we did lose a business and they weren't here for long. The Raising Rust is no longer there.
Okay.
So Raising Rust is gone, but next to them, we did get a new boutique.
Okay.
So the ebb and flow of
Mm-hmm.
business.
Any other updates under discussion items? Any new business to discuss for next month?
Vice Chair, I would like to make a recommendation that we reach out to David Slater, Clay County EDC, and see if he'd be willing to do a report sometime in this last 3 months, 2 or 3 months of the year. And then also, we were made aware through the University of Missouri Extension, Erica serves on that board as the Smithville representative, and I'm a board member as well. We'd love to integrate sometime probably next year, their portion of EDC to just see what kind of funding and things we could learn from that. So that would be my recommendation to for those two. Most right now, though, David Slater, I think, be an excellent source with Clay County EDC.
I don't know, David, is that somebody that could come on shorter notice like October, or are you thinking it's gonna be next November, December?
He's come up and done events for.
Has he?
the high school.
Okay.
Yeah, He's,
Yeah.
he's very. he
He's
loves
very
to be in the
flexible.
community.
He's the chair for Clay County EDC,
Okay.
former Pleasant Valley mayor for several years as well. So
Okay. So who would want to reach out to him?
I can reach out to
Okay,
him. I have his contact information.
good.
Mhm.
Well, that brings us back to October meeting.
Looking at the calendar for the city, we have the 26th open. I know that's is that when the MU group meets? Okay, so that's a Tuesday, so we could keep it.
26th is the
Oh, I'm
Thursday.
looking at September, I'm
I was
sorry.
like, I thought you were gonna be gone.
The 24th of October.
That is the.
Okay, or we have Monday open.
Yeah, I believe they have, did they mention last night, we received an email, they're not going to be meeting in October, did you?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I was not there last night. I had a client commitment, but I read the email, but I believe they're not meeting in October. So that'd be fine.
24th.
24th
The
for
24th,
this one time.
which
Yeah.
is a Tuesday, and we could do 6 o'clock.
Carol,
That-
6 o'clock.
We were 6:30 and then we changed to 6,
And I
so.
apologize. I even looked at my calendar earlier today and just skimmed over it. It's on there twice for some reason, and I still read 6:30. So my
Give it books
apologies.
and give them books.
Oh, my apologies.
Tuesday, 24th works for me. I can be
Works for
there.
me.
That's two.
Okay.
We don't need to vote on that, do we? We can.
No, and I'll just send it out to the group, just to make sure we have a quorum, but if it works for everybody in here, we'll at least have a
Yeah.
quorum.
Good.
Okay, okay. Okay. As long as we have 5, we'll be good.
Will we have any new members by October?
Potentially, yes.
Okay,
The vote it's scheduled for the appointment on the 17th.
17th. Okay,
Mhm.
I wasn't sure the timing of that.
Yes, waiting to hear back, about the interview.
Right,
And then if I don't hear anything, then we can move forward with the recommendation.
okay. All right. Any other new business? Not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn
Second?
Or motion to adjourn first. Yeah,
and a second.
in a second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.